A servant leader serves the teacher by supporting them in becoming more proficient in helping children learn in a respectful, empathetic, and caring way. We assume that we are all there for the right reasons. The premise is simple: as a leader, your job is to support your teachers. This dynamic creates a culture of trust, support, and inclusion, while still driving student improvement. Yet, servant leadership does not always come naturally. Approached the wrong way, it can turn people-pleasers into pushovers and create doubt where it should instead foster trust. To effectively lead from a support role, leaders need to establish clear communication and recognized mechanisms for support. Develop common sense and respectful procedures for teachers in knowing how to ask for help when they need it and how to find help themselves. Servant leaders provide help when prompted and reinforce this by consistent and clear messaging. People-pleasers think they are helping the teacher by empathizing too much with their problems and can easily give mixed messages. Is the leader really committed to leading the school to be better for the students, or is the leader just pacifying my feelings? One of the traps prospective servant leaders fall into is the belief that they need to have all the answers. Embracing servant leadership means embracing the concept of learning. Servant leaders need to be okay with saying, "I don't have the answer, but we can figure it out together." Teachers will more likely confide in their need for support using this approach rather than always coming back to them with the so-called right answer, which may make them feel like they were doing something wrong. No one wants to feel that. A culture of openness and trust in the workplace encourages teachers to say, "I need help," or ask for advice, as opposed to trying to cover up hurdles to student learning. It's all about developing a growth mindset by all. It is not easy. On one hand, leaders exist to support the success of your teachers or employees. On the other, you need to be a leader they can turn to for direction. Skew too far one way and you become an authoritative leader, drop too far to the other and teachers or employees will lose confidence in you. Keep these extremes in mind as you seek to deliver the right balance of delegation and support. Ultimately, servant leadership starts within and your own growth mindset. Authentic empathy comes when you are also able to look in the mirror, acknowledge your own real challenges, modeling vulnerability as the doorway to building trust, and have the ability to ask for help. One main way we can be servant leaders is through the feedback we give. A recent study, however, suggests that about 75% of teachers do not receive specific feedback about how to improve their practice. And teacher retention has never been a bigger issue. One of the most alarming statistics related to the education system is the number of teachers leaving classrooms. In the United States, over 13% of teachers leave their classrooms each year, and between 40 and 50% of teachers leave the profession in the first 5 years. This was pre-pandemic. Here is a list of suggestions. 1. Talk to the teachers ahead of time when conducting informal observations and agree on things the teacher would like you to observe. 2. Give targeted, specific feedback. Using noticed and wondering statements and avoid using "you." Here's an example. I noticed that social and emotional learning skills were incorporated into this lesson. Beginning with a grounding exercise helped the students to be more present. I noticed the lesson plan included many questions that were yes or no questions relying on whether or not students know or don't know how, such as, who was the main character? I wonder if questions such as, what actions by certain characters were the most important to the story? I noticed that some students seem to get easily off task during the transition between your activities. I wonder if some fun transition games might help make the transitions go more smoothly. 3. Pose questions sometimes rather than providing feedback. Ask questions to either expand or specify thinking. For example, you might ask, what teaching strategy seemed to help at least some students understand the concept? And/or, what concept seemed difficult for some students? And/or, what follow-up strategies might help the students that struggled? 4. It is more effective. Teacher feedback is based on data and evidence rather than opinions. So instead of observing and commenting on teacher behavior, consider observing and providing feedback on student work, student behavior or responses. Informal assessment result observable in the lesson. Assessment results. Think about a situation or question you have that is kind of tricky to deal with as a servant leader. Work with a colleague who also is committed to servant leadership and work together to come up with a response that demonstrates empathy, a commitment to students, and that reinforces teacher or employee dignity. Being a servant leader is a continual process and is always challenging. Yet, staying committed to these principles are key to supporting and ultimately, retaining your teachers.